Hey guys, how's it going? Leek here. I wanted to make a more complete video covering all things survival in Midnight. So this video is going to go over all the changes. So I'll be talking about removed spells, changed or new spells, talent tree changes, hero talent changes, some possible talent builds, dual wield, and some gameplay and rotational concepts at the end. I'm also going to go over bugs really quickly. So let's go straight into the spell changes to get things started. So survival is getting another rework in Midnight. So in general, for Midnight, there's ability pruning across the board, and all classes and specs are losing abilities, so Survival is no exception to this. These are the damage spells that we're losing entirely. We're losing Kill Shot, Explosive Shot, Mongoose Bite, Fury of the Eagle, Blanking Strike, Butchery, and Spearhead. We're also losing the Serpent Sting dot and the Merciless Blows dot. Hunter in general is also losing some utility spells, though this is also something that's getting pruned across the board. So for utility, we're losing Bursting Shot, Scatter Shot, Explosive Trap, and Implosive Trap. So besides the pruning, Survival's also gaining some new abilities in Midnight. The first new ability that we're gaining is Raptor Swipe. So Raptor Swipe is our Apex talent. Raptor Swipe has a chance to proc from every Raptor Strike, and with the final Apex talent, it will always proc from Raptor Strike. Another new ability that we're getting is called Boomstick. So Boomstick is basically a reskin Fury of the Eagle, but it has a 20-yard range, and it has some new interactions within the spec that Fury of the Eagle did not have. Another new spell that we're getting is called Flamefang Pitch. Flamefang Pitch is a ground-targeted AoE spell that also leaves a fire effect on the ground that deals damage over time. And then mobs and bosses can just run out of that ground effect if they wanted to. The last ability that we're getting is called Hatchet Toss. There's also some other changes that aren't strictly new abilities or removed abilities. Mongoose Fury has been changed to work like Iron Fur, and now it applies to Raptor Strike. Vor of Sacrifice has also been reworked, and now it's an external defensive that's similar to Blessing of Sacrifice. Lastly, Survival can now dual wield, and we can now equip one-handed swords, axes, and daggers. So now I want to talk about the Survival spec tree a little bit. So since Survival is getting a rework in Midnight, that means our spec tree is changing. I'm not going to talk about Sentinel or Pack Leader just yet, but that'll be right after this. And also, everything that's not new, like all these talents and effects that still exist in the War Within talent tree, I'm going to kind of go over really quickly, just because I want to focus on the new stuff. So I'm going to go straight to the first new talent, or change talent rather, and that's Lunge. So on live, Lunge gives you Wildfire Bomb CDR every time you auto attack, but that's not the case in Midnight. In Midnight, all this does is it gives you a flat 1 second reduction to the cooldown of Wildfire Bomb, and there's no more auto attack interactions or anything like that. Next to Lunge is Boomstick. It's pretty high up in the tree, and it makes sense, the spec kind of revolves around Boomstick, so it's pretty high up and you're forced to take it. Next to Boomstick is Strike is 1, and every time you consume Tip of the Spear, your pet attacks. And this is a really cool talent. It ends up doing a lot of damage. It's really cool thematically, you and your pet attacking together. I like it a lot. And then we go down to our first choice node, where you pick between Shrapnel Bomb and Flame Break. Shrapnel Bomb causes the periodic portion of Wildfire Bomb to become a bleed. And if you played Survival when we had Wildfire Infusions, this has the same spell visual as the old Blue Bomb. And then next to that, we have Flame Break. Flame Break increases all fire damage by 8%. We have Bloodseeker, same as live. Quick Reload, just some Boomstick CDR. Flanker's Advantage, above skill command. And then next to Flanker's Advantage, we have 2 Against Many. 2 Against Many enhances Strike as 1, and it causes Strike as 1 to hit 2 extra enemies and deal 15% extra damage for every enemy it hits. This is a pretty strong talent, especially in AoE. Then we have the reworked Mongoose Fury. And then we have another choice node where you pick between Mongoose Rounds and Wildfire Shells. Mongoose Rounds causes every Boomstick Blast to give you a stack of Mongoose Fury. And then Wildfire Shells causes every Boomstick Blast to give you some Bomb CDR. So maybe you pick these depending on the situation, maybe Mongoose Rounds is single target oriented, and then Wildfire Shells is for AoE. Who knows? Cool choice node though. Then we have Shell Shock. Boomstick's damage increased by 40% when striking a single target, and then each additional target reduces this by 5%. So basically this makes Boomstick really strong on single target, but it does have some value on AoE as well, especially low target AoE. And then we have a reworked Sikkim. So on live, Sikkim is from Killshot, but this version of Sikkim just causes Kill Command to proc a bleed. And then we have another choice node. So we have Bloody Claws and Wallop. So Bloody Claws was reworked, and now each stack of Mongoose Fury also increases the damage of Strike as 1 by 10% per stack. And then Wallop is a proc. So gaining a stack of Mongoose Fury has a 20% chance to increase the damage of Raptor Strike. So this is kind of cool. I'm not sure if you would play with Wallop just yet, but it does have some interactions. So like, say you cast Boomstick with Mongoose rounds, since you're gaining Mongoose Fury stacks from Mongoose rounds, there's a very good chance you'll get a Wallop proc. So by the end of your Boomstick cast, you'll have a Wallop proc, and then you can cast a big Raptor Strike or a big Raptor Swipe. It's pretty cool. Improved Wildfire Bomb, who cares? Extra passive damage. Bonding, who cares? Sweeping Spear, who cares? Another choice node. Vulnerability for Raptor Strike and Boomstick crit damage, or Blackrock Munitions for Wildfire Bomb and Flamefang Pitch damage. But Flamefang Pitch sucks, so probably won't take that. Shower of Blood, no one cares, bleeds suck. And then Outland Venom. So this talent was also changed in Midnight. On live, Outland Venom is only 2% per stack, but in Midnight, it's 4% per stack. Explosives Expert, who cares? Takedowns are a new cooldown, and this replaces Coordinated Assault. Killer Companion, pet damage. And then we have Flamefang Pitch. This talent's pretty deep into the tree, and it's not very good, so we're probably never going to run it if it stays how it is. We also have Twin Fangs, which is another talent that's not very good. Like, it sounds cool that maybe you want Takedown to give you extra stacks of Tip of the Spear, but that gets invalidated by another talent that we have coming up. Savagery, Takedown CDR. Wildfire Infusion, you get some Bomb CDR every time you kill command. Grenade Juggler is reworked. So on live, it's like an explosive shot proc, but this version of Grenade Juggler just gives you an extra charge of Flamefang Pitch and causes every Flamefang Pitch cast to give you a charge of Wildfire Bomb. So like, I know Flamefang Pitch isn't good right now, but maybe you just like this playstyle of like throwing these Molotov cocktails and throwing more Wildfire Bombs. So if that's something that interests you and you just like pressing bombs and explosives, like maybe you can take these talents. They're not very good, but maybe you'll have fun this way. But then we have Wildfire Imbuement right here. This talent's really cool. Like, whenever you throw Flamefang Pitch, it imbues your weapon with flame, and then you and your pet are dealing fire damage. Like, thematically, this thing is sick, but it's tied to Flamefang Pitch, and Flamefang Pitch is not really good, so it's kind of disappointing that something as cool as Wildfire Imbuement will never be able to be ran because it's tied to Flamefang Pitch. Then we have Flanked right here, and this buffs the damage of Takedown and causes it to deal AoE damage. And this talent seems like it's actually really strong in AoE, so maybe this is something you'll want to run in AoE. So lastly, we have two more talents, and the first one is Lethal Calibration. So this talent's really cool because it enables a new gameplay loop. So with this talent, Wildfire Bomb reduces the cooldown of Boomstick by 2 seconds for each enemy hit, up to 10 seconds. So what this does, say Boomstick's on cooldown, so you cast Wildfire Bomb, and you get some Boomstick CDR, and suddenly Boomstick's up. So now you can cast Boomstick with Wildfire Shells, and when you cast it, you're getting Bomb CDR. So then you can throw those again and get more Boomstick CDR with Lethal Calibration, and so on. Like, it's a really cool gameplay loop. Like, you're casting bombs, you're getting Boomstick CDR, you're casting Boomstick, you're getting Bomb CDR, and so on. And then the final talent is Primal Surge. So with this talent, Kill Command will give you 1 extra stack of Tip. So you're getting 2 stacks of Tip of the Spear every time you kill command, and not just 1. It also increases the damage bonus of Tip by 5%. So this talent is like kind of really strong. I don't see us ever untalenting Primal Surge. And this is also why Twin Fangs isn't very good. Like, who cares if you're getting 3 stacks of Tip when you cast Takedown, if you can just press Kill Command and get 2 stacks of Tip? Like, honestly, Twin Fangs should just be baseline and Takedown. So lastly, in our talent tree, I want to talk about our new Apex talents. So our Apex talents are Raptor Swipe. And also, you don't have to spec into these technically. Like, if you really didn't want to run them, you could just take these points and put them wherever you want. Like, if you wanted to do that, you could. I really don't recommend it because not only are these talents really strong, but they also make the spec really good and really fluid to play with. So if you're thinking about moving them somewhere else, I probably wouldn't. I'm not going to stop you, but I do not recommend moving them anywhere else. But anyway, our new Apex talents. So they're called Raptor Swipe, and this is the base node. So Raptor Strike has a 25% chance to upgrade itself to a Raptor Swipe. And this is basically just an AoE Raptor Strike that hits 5 targets. The tooltip also doesn't mention it, but this reduces the focus cost. So normally, Raptor Strike costs 40 focus, but Raptor Swipe only costs 20 focus, and that focus difference actually makes a difference, and you can really feel that when you're playing. So the second and third points upgrade Raptor Swipe. So this node adds some damage to Raptor Strike, Raptor Swipe, and Wildfire Bomb. It also causes Raptor Swipe to deal extra damage to your primary target, and with both points, it's 50% extra damage to your primary target, and that's honestly quite a lot. And then there's the last node. Raptor Strike now has a 100% chance to upgrade itself to Raptor Swipe. So what this means is that Raptor Strike and Raptor Swipe alternate. So you cast Raptor Strike, next is Raptor Swipe, back to Raptor Strike, and then back to Raptor Swipe, and so on. It also gives you a reason to tip Raptor Swipe. So casting Raptor Swipe with Tip of the Spear means Strike as 1 will strike at 300% effectiveness, and this is a lot of damage, and it also has synergy with like Bloody Claws, because now you're getting more Strike as 1 damage with Mongoose Fury. And then 2 against many, because Strike as 1 is doing AoE damage and dealing extra damage for every enemy it hits. So, pretty powerful node. I really like these Apex talents a lot. Like, they make the spec feel very fluid and very fun. So now I want to talk about Pack Leader a little bit. So Pack Leader is mostly unchanged in Midnight, but there are a couple differences. So one of the biggest changes is with beast spawns and bomb generation. So on live, spawning a beast gives you 10 seconds of bomb CDR, but in Midnight, it's only 6 seconds of bomb CDR, so you're going to be getting less bombs that way. Additionally, Dire Summons is nerfed in Midnight, so you're going to be getting less CDR from Howl of the Pack from casting Kill Command and Raptor Strike. So this means you're getting less beast spawns, and less beast spawns means you're getting less bombs. And nerfed bomb CDR also means you're getting less bombs. So in general, you're getting much less bombs as Pack Leader, but bombs in Midnight feel much more impactful. So less bombs, but they're stronger bombs. I think this is a good thing, to be honest, because live Pack Leader gets flooded with bombs very quickly, and that's not fun to play with. There's also a change to this choice node. On live, this choice node is a choice between Ursine Fury and Envenom Fangs, but it was changed in Midnight. So now with Ursine Fury, whenever your bear is summoned, it spawns 2 Dire Beasts. And the alternative is Sharpened Claws, and this just increases the damage of Rent Flesh. The way it looks right now, I think Ursine Fury is a more single target pick because the Dire Beasts are just doing single target damage. And then maybe Sharpened Claws is an AoE pick. Another change is that Horsehair Tether is now in the class tree instead of being in the Pack Leader tree, so both Sentinel and Pack Leader can take it. And then this was replaced with the choice node to buff Master's Call. There's one more big change in this with Hogstrider. So the Pack Leader boar only charges 1 time now instead of charging 3 times like it does on live. This means that you don't need to weave in any spells between your Hog charges. Additionally, Hogstrider now buffs your Hatchet Toss instead of Mongoose Bite and allows Hatchet Toss to cleave. So there's a couple problems with this. Right now, Hogstrider buffed Hatchet Tosses still aren't worth pressing in single target. I don't know if it's intended to be like an AoE only button, but even in AoE, like Hogstrider Hatchet Tosses don't do much damage. Like, they're doing less than 2% of your damage, and it's honestly closer to 1% than it is to 2%. And it's definitely not worth casting in single target. A Hogstrider buffed Hatchet Toss does less damage than Raptor Strike. So as of recording this video, you would never press it on single target, and it's just barely worth pressing in AoE. So lastly, the capstone's been changed. So instead of having lead from the front proc from casting your cooldown, now you have Stampede. And this is the same Stampede as the current Mana Forge Omega tier set. There's no double Stampedes to play around, so you don't have to worry about like trying to get 2 Stampedes in during your cooldown. But you do still have to worry about Stampede missing. Like terrain can cause Stampede to miss, stairs can cause Stampede to miss, it can miss mobs if the target dies, mobs can move out of the Stampede, and so on. So it still has all those issues with missing. So up next I want to talk about Sentinel. So Sentinel is also getting reworked in Midnight. On live, Sentinel is mostly passive, and you're just playing around Lunistorm every 30 seconds. But in Midnight, Sentinel actually changes how you play, and it gives you some dynamic gameplay. The main mechanic is called Sentinel's Mark. Anytime you consume Tip of the Spear, you have a chance to call in a Sentinel Owl, and that owl applies Sentinel's Mark to your target. This mark increases the damage of your next Wildfire Bomb, and it gives you 6 seconds of bomb CDR whenever a mark is applied. It's pretty cool, like you see an owl swoop in, you hear the owl swoop in, and then you see the mark get applied. I like the visuals a lot. We also have some changes to Don't Look Back. So now you get an Absorb Shield for 10% of your max health whenever you consume a mark. There's also a new ability for Sentinel called Moonlight Chakram. So whenever you cast Takedown, you get a new spell called Moonlight Chakram, and this spell pops up on your Takedown keybind. When you cast Takedown, you have 15 seconds to cast this spell before it expires. There's also a choice node underneath it to buff Moonlight Chakram. So you could take Twilight Requiem, and this causes Moonlight Chakram to explode for AoE damage whenever it ends. And then you also have Stalk and Strike. And then with this one, throwing Moonlight Chakram gives you some Wildfire Bomb CDR. There's also this new choice node over here, where you pick between Stargazer and Open Fire. So with Stargazer, consuming tip stacks gives you 2% increased critical strike damage, and this overlaps. And then Open Fire increases Flamefang pitch damage by 15%. And you're probably never untalenting Stargazer, at least if Flamefang pitch isn't changed, because Flamefang pitch is really bad. And then the last thing is the capstone down here. So the capstone is Lunar Storm, but this is a different Lunar Storm. Instead of being a big ground circle, Lunar Storm now just does a big burst of AoE damage whenever you consume Sentinel's Mark. And I'm not sure if this is the case, but the tooltip doesn't mention any type of damage cap. And this has been kind of hard to test on beta so far, but Mythic Plus is opening up next beta build, so maybe we can test it then. But this tooltip doesn't mention a damage cap, so maybe Lunar Storm is uncapped. But yeah, that's it for Sentinel. Sentinel is now much more active, and it further rewards you for buffing spells with Tip of the Spear, since tipped spells can proc Sentinel's Mark, and Sentinel's Mark gives you Bomb CDR, and then those marks give you Lunar Storm damage, and then spending Tip also gives you Stargazer stacks. You'll probably want to make sure you consume Sentinel's Marks immediately, or else you'll lose out on Lunar Storm damage and the extra Wildfire Bomb damage, because Sentinel's Mark can override itself if you don't consume it immediately. So really quickly, I want to show off what talent builds I've been running for single target. Now, I'm not saying these are optimal. What's good is going to be a lot more clear once we can sim things towards the end of beta. But I'm going to show you what I've been running. I'm going to talk about what changes I think you can make, because there's definitely some swaps in here that you can make. And then really, I want to focus on the talents that are bad. There are some talents in here that you will never run. And there are some talents in here that you can pretty much never untalent, and they feel mandatory. So really, I want to focus on those, and then I want to point out what swaps I think you can make. So for starters, you will never take Flamefang Pitch in its current iteration. Like, these talents suck. Don't take these. They're not good. Don't worry about it. They're tuned poorly. They feel bad to play with. And they're just frustrating because they put a ground AoE on the ground. And honestly, like, Flamefang Pitch is basically Wildfire Bomb, but worse. These talents need work. Another one you should never take is Twin Fangs. So with Twin Fangs, casting Takedown gives you 3 stacks of tip. But who cares about that when Primal Surge is basically mandatory, and Primal Surge causes Kill Command to give you 2 stacks of tip for every kill command. So why do you want 3 once a minute when you can just press Kill Command once and get 2? Shower Blood sucks. Bleeds suck. Shower Blood sucks. And it's a 2-point node for something that's not even good to begin with. So don't take that. Bloodseeker, you're probably not taking for single target. At least not a Sentinel. There's this choice node here. Again, Shrapnel Bomb. I probably don't want to make the periodic portion of Bomb a bleed a Sentinel. You'll probably want to take Flame Break if you're taking this node, so you can just buff the entire bomb. I think that's it for talents you'll probably want to avoid. And there are some talents I think you can swap out as well. Like, right now I have 2 against many. I think you'll probably take 2 against many even for single target once you get the tier set, because the 4-piece tier set gives you more strike as ones. Like, every time you cast Wildfire Bomb with the tier set, you get an extra strike as 1. So maybe you'll want 2 against many in single target, but maybe you don't. So maybe you could move this, and maybe you could put it like, maybe you could put it in Sweeping Spear, or maybe you could put like 1 point in Sikkim, and then you could take another point out of any of these filler nodes, like Explosives Expert, or Improved Wildfire Bomb, or this 1 point Sweeping Spear, and put that in Outland Venom. Because honestly, Outland Venom's kind of strong right now. The only issue is that it's gated behind Sikkim, which kind of sucks, but maybe Outland Venom is like super good. Because right now, 4% crit damage for every damage over time effect. Like, we have the Wildfire Bomb dot, we have the Sikkim dot, and Sentinel has the Sanctified Armaments dot. So that's potentially 12% increased critical strike damage, and that's a ton of damage. So maybe you would want to move, like maybe you want to move some of these random damage amp points, like maybe you move Improved Wildfire Bomb into Sikkim, or just any of them. I don't know what would be best. I feel like that's where you would move the points from. Maybe something like this is what you would run. I also don't think you'd run Lethal Calibration on single target. Like, the CDR on single target isn't enough to allow Boomstick to sync up with anything. Like, honestly, it even feels better without the CDR at all. Like, it kind of lines up awkwardly with things with the CDR on single target, and it probably isn't strong enough to run on single target. But again, we'll know for sure once we have sims later. But yeah, I think that's it for swaps, and I think that's it for Sentinel single target as well. And now for Pack Leader single target. And honestly, most of the talents are the same, because the same talents that suck for Sentinel still suck for Pack Leader. But there are a couple changes you can make here as well. So for starters, you'll probably want to run Ursine Fury on single target. It seems like it's slightly better than Sharpened Claws on single target. Maybe Sims will be able to show us the real difference, but it seems like Ursine Fury is just barely better. Who knows? There's a couple changes you can make. So like Bloodseeker. I'm not sure if you would want to run Bloodseeker, but say you are running Bloodseeker. If someone else in your group is running bleeds, you don't need Shrapnel Bomb. So you don't have to take this node at all. And honestly, like, Flame Break doesn't seem super good for Pack Leader because your bombs aren't super strong. So maybe you would just skip this node entirely. But say, for example, no one in your group is applying bleeds. So maybe you just take one of these random damage amp nodes. Like, maybe you move 1 point of Explosives Expert into Shrapnel Bomb. So this way you can provide bleeds for Bloodseeker. Like, maybe that's a thing. But for the most part, pretty similar to Sentinel. I think you can skip Flanker's advantage entirely as Pack Leader. Maybe the extra crit chance is worth it, but in terms of focus regen, Pack Leader really doesn't need the focus regen from Flanker's advantage because you have Lethal Barbs giving you focus from every auto attack that you do. So the focus part of that is kind of overkill. But besides that, same things as Sentinel. Like, maybe you want to pull points from Improved Wildfire Bomb because bombs aren't doing as much damage as Pack Leader as they are for Sentinel, and maybe that's where you would make your swaps from. But besides that, I mean, pretty much the same thing. Flamefang pitch sucks. No flanked on single target. Twin Fang sucks. Maybe no lethal calibration. Don't take shower of blood. But yeah, that's it for Pack Leader single target too. And now I want to show off AoE talents really quickly, just starting with Sentinel. So I think this is more locked in than single target, to be honest. There's maybe a couple changes you could make, like maybe you would move this point in Sweeping Spear and put it into Flanker's Advantage. I'm not sure if Flanker's Advantage is even needed right now. Like, extra focus feels like it's not really needed, so maybe you just don't take it. Additionally, like maybe you move Flanked into Explosives Expert, because Bomb and Boomstick are doing a lot of damage. But Flanked also does a lot of damage, so maybe you do want Flanked. I'm not really sure. I mean, it's pretty obvious what talents you're not going to take, though, that's for sure. Like, you're not going to take Flamefang Pitch, you're not going to take Grenade Juggler, you're not going to take Wildfire Imbuement. Probably won't take Sikkim and Outland Venom. Like, maybe you will, maybe the value will end up being worth it, but Sikkim is more of a single target thing because the bleed's only on one target, so maybe that trade-off's not worth it for AoE. Don't take Shower of Blood, that talent sucks. You will want Lethal Calibration, like single target, probably won't want this. AoE is definitely going to want this because you get that feedback loop between bombs and Boomstick. And Bloodseeker, I mean, probably not going to want that, especially a Sentinel. But yeah, that's Sentinel AoE. And lastly, Pack Leader AoE. So like Sentinel AoE, this feels pretty locked in. It feels more strict than single target does too. Like, I feel like you have less options to move around here. But for starters, in the Pack Leader tree, you'll probably want Sharpened Claws over Ursine Fury. And then there's maybe a couple changes you can make in the spec tree. Like, right now I have Shrapnel Bomb and Bloodseeker, and I have Shrapnel Bomb to trigger Bloodseeker. But maybe that's not worth it at all. So maybe you can move Bloodseeker to like improved Wildfire Bomb, and then move Shrapnel Bomb to Flame Break, and maybe that's a thing. Or maybe it's not. Maybe you're running with a group that has another bleed spec in it, so that way you can keep Bloodseeker, but you could turn Shrapnel Bomb into Flame Break. Maybe that's a thing. Who knows? But for the most part, I feel like this is pretty locked in. Like, I think there are some very clear talents you don't want to run. Like, Flamefang Pitch isn't good. Grenade Juggler's not good because Flamefang Pitch sucks. Wildfire Imbuement kind of sucks because it's like a single target thing, also tied to Flamefang Pitch. Twin Fangs kind of sucks. I am begging you not to take Shower of Blood because that talent is no good. You'll probably want Flanked as Pack Leader AoE. It feels like it's a maybe a Sentinel, but I feel like it's definitely a pick as Pack Leader. Flanker's Advantage also doesn't seem like it's necessary. Like, you have Lethal Barbs giving you focus regen, so maybe you don't need Flanker's Advantage. But yeah, this is what I'm running, and those are my thoughts on why I'm running it. One last thing. This choice node in Pack Leader, just don't take Hoof and Blade. This talent sucks. Don't worry about it. Hatchet Toss sucks. Hoof and Blade sucks. Run Wyvern's Gaze. And that's it for Pack Leader AoE. So here is some Sentinel single target gameplay. If you've played Survival on Live, a lot of this is going to be pretty similar. So this isn't going to be your rotation or priority system or anything. I just want to list some good practices at Survival, and you want to make sure you follow these. So for starters, you want to make sure you cast your big spells with Tip of the Spear. And these spells are Boomstick, Wildfire Bomb, Raptor Swipe, and Takedown. If you have Sentinel's Mark active, you want to consume it before you proc another, because it's possible to overwrite the old Sentinel's Mark with the new one. You also want to avoid casting Wildfire Bomb if Sentinel's Mark isn't active, unless Bomb is getting close to capping on charges. The reason for this is that Sentinel's Mark only gives you 6 seconds of Bomb CDR. This means that it's possible to get a Sentinel's Mark proc, but have no Bomb available to consume it, which also means it's possible to accidentally overwrite your Sentinel's Mark before Bomb becomes available. So just avoid freely throwing your bombs whenever they're off cooldown and you should be okay. You also want to tip Boomstick whenever it's available because Boomstick hits pretty hard. And then with the updated Raptor Swipe Apex talent, you want to cast Raptor Swipe with a stack of Tip of the Spear. Casting Swipe with Tip means Strike as 1 will also hit for 300% extra damage, and that's a lot of damage. So here's some Pack Leader single target gameplay, and I'm just going to focus on the differences between this and Sentinel since they're pretty similar. So Pack Leader itself has a couple mechanics to play around. So the main mechanic that Pack Leader plays around is Howl of the Pack Leader, and this is a buff that rotates through different beasts in a set rotation. This buff starts out at 25 seconds and can be reduced by casting Kill Command and Raptor Strike. When this buff hits 0 seconds, your beast becomes ready, and your next Kill Command will spawn a beast. After spawning the beast, the buff starts over at 25 seconds and rotates to the next beast. So if you have a beast ready to spawn, you'll probably want to Kill Command as soon as possible so you can spawn that beast and keep the Howl of the Pack Leader buff rolling. Spawning beasts give you 6 seconds of bomb CDR, so you want to make sure that when you spawn a beast, you're not going to overcap your bombs. Additionally, when you cast Takedown as Pack Leader, 2 things happen. 1, your next Kill Command will spawn a beast. This beast is separate from the normal Howl of the Pack Leader timer, so if you have a beast ready from Howl of the Pack Leader and then you cast Takedown, your next kill command will spawn 2 beasts, instead of just 1. Also with beasts, you have Hogstrider. In War Within, Hogstrider buffed Mongoose Bite, but in Midnight it buffs a new ability called Hatchet Toss. Additionally, the Hog only charges a single time instead of 3 times. So if you see me ignoring Hogstrider stacks, that's because Hatchet Toss still isn't worth casting on single target. It's only worth pressing in AoE when you get enough Hog stacks, and honestly it's barely worth pressing in AoE as well. Takedown also causes your next kill command to spawn a Stampede, and that's pretty much it for Pack Leader. Everything else is the same, like same concepts, tip Wildfire Bomb, tip Takedown, tip Boomstick, and yeah. So here's some Sentinel AoE gameplay, and honestly it's the same exact priorities as single target, but it feels a little different because you're casting more Boomsticks and you're casting more Wildfire Bombs. You have 2 talents that work together to create an AoE loop, Lethal Calibration and Wildfire Shells. Lethal Calibration gives you more Boomstick CDR in AoE than it does on single target because you're hitting more enemies with Bomb, so you get more CDR. On AoE, you're probably playing Wildfire Shells as well instead of Mongoose rounds. So with Wildfire Shells, every Boomstick shot gives you 2 seconds of Bomb CDR. So when you combine that with Lethal Calibration, you get a really nice gameplay loop where you're casting bombs, which give you Boomstick CDR, and then you cast Boomstick, and that gives you Bomb CDR, and so on. And it's a very fun feedback loop, and it gives you a distinct playstyle difference between single target and AoE. And lastly, here's Pack Leader AoE, and honestly, same exact thing as single target. The only difference here is that you'll be pressing Hatchet Toss and consuming Hogstrider. On single target, it wasn't worth pressing because Hatchet Toss barely did any damage. Well, in AoE, that's a little different. It's barely worth pressing, and it barely does damage still. It's just a little more damage in AoE than it is in single target. So hopefully we see some Hatchet Toss buffs, but besides that, the spec plays pretty much exactly the same. Like it's the same as Sentinel, you're pressing more Boomsticks and you're pressing more bombs. But besides that, the core rotation is exactly the same. So Survival can now dual wield in Midnight, and I think this is really cool aesthetically, but it does have some issues. And the biggest concern is the balance between dual wield and two-hand weapons. Right now, abilities still don't fully consider your offhand weapon DPS when it calculates ability damage. This means that abilities do less damage dual wielding than if you were using a two-hand. Now there are some talents that do favor dual wielding over two-hand, like Lethal Barbs in Pack Leader and Wildfire Imbuement. I'm just concerned over how these will be balanced. Like, is Pack Leader supposed to dual wield and is Sentinel supposed to use a two-hand? Even if this is the case, it doesn't seem like talents like Lethal Barbs, as well as dual wield having access to a second weapon enchant, would be enough to make these at least close to equal. Like, they don't need to be perfectly balanced, but it doesn't even seem close so far. And here's a little flashbang of a bug sheet. So lastly, I just want to show this bug sheet off, and it's something that all 3 Hunter specs are maintaining for beta. I'll put a link to the sheet in the description, and if you find something for survival that's not listed here, please just comment below or reach out to me, and I'll look into it and I'll get it added. So this sheet is formatted in a way that makes it easy to copy and paste the bugs, so you can just report them in-game if you want. So really quickly, the first column, date tested. Second column, tree, so you can see that this list is like organized by tree. So like class, pack leader, sentinel, survival. Then we have the actual bug, and right next to that is a description box. So with this description box, you can just go into it, you can copy and paste the description, and then it's easy to take it and put it in a bug report in-game. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. In terms of gameplay, survival isn't drastically different from live. Like, you're getting less frequent but more impactful wildfire bombs, but the core rotation still stays the same. We also have some passive AoE baked into the spec with Raptor Swipe. And then the Sentinel rework is also a banger, and it's really fun to play with in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think about survival. Do you like this rework? What about the themes? Do you think survival is heading in the right direction in terms of themes, or should it just start over entirely? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.